Tariffs.
I'm Jessica Tighe, needing to protect students to keep federal funding.
Sunny and breezy, temperatures actually falling from this morning, a high of 43 degrees. I think we've already achieved that. Upper 30s in the afternoon, windy as well. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 32. 38 and sunny in Milwaukee. At 11:01 from the WTMJ breaking newsroom, the trade war with Canada is getting worse with new tariffs announced by President Trump.
President Trump slapped back against Canada's latest tariff on electricity exports to the U.S. by increasing this nation's tariffs to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the U.S. from Canada. Trump says Canada must stop what he calls its anti-American farmer tariff and is threatening an increase on tariffs on cars unless Canada drops other tariffs. He says the only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become the 51st state. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Canada yesterday announced a 25% tariff on electricity coming to the United States.
It's not Canadian citizens versus U.S. citizens who will hurt more from the tariffs. It's workers.
When it comes to trade relationships, the U.S. and Canada is historically as balanced as it can get.
50-50. It's about $250 billion either way. There's no trade imbalance.
Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Vic Fideli, joined Wisconsin's Afternoon News. He says both Canada and the United States could see job loss in the hundreds of thousands.
Not all of Canada, just Ontario, is the largest customer for 17 U.S. states, and we're your number 2 customer for 11 more states.
Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
UW-Madison is among 60 universities across the nation in danger of losing federal funding if they fail to protect Jewish students on campus.
A letter sent to the school Monday warns of potential enforcement actions if UW-Madison does not fulfill obligations under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act to protect Jewish students on campus. UW-Madison is the only Wisconsin university on that list. The letter comes almost a year after a pro-Palestinian encampment formed on the campus. Meanwhile, UW-Madison has 2 open Title VI investigations against it, alleging violations relating to anti-Semitic harassment and discrimination. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
New developments now from the Dominican Republic as they search for a missing U.S. college student.
The search is along the shore, right? That's where they stand. That's where investigators believe the 20-year-old may have entered the water. Search crews leaving no stone unturned. Dominican police deployed K-9 units in the search Monday, in addition to the drones, boats, and land crews that have been combing around the area. The 20-year-old was last seen. Konanke was last seen heading to the beach around 4 a.m. Thursday with a man who has since been interviewed by authorities. That man says they were both hit by a large wave. He returned to shore and says he couldn't find her in the water.
Police are questioning that man, members of the college students group, and hotel workers to check the timeline and narrow down the search area.
Senior officials from Ukraine and the United States opening talks focused on ending Moscow's 3-year war against Kiev. The talks in Saudi Arabia began hours after Russia shot down over 300 Ukrainian drones, Ukraine's biggest attack since the Kremlin ordered the full-scale invasion of its neighbor. The talks come after President Trump paused U.S. military aid to Ukraine last week, along with some intelligence sharing, in an attempt to pressure Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to engage in negotiations to end the war against Russia. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow continues to tumble down nearly 450 points today at 41,466. NASDAQ off about 25 at 17,442. S&P down about 35 today at 55.79. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today.
It's the eve of the NFL league year. What's happening? Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 11:05.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Milwaukee Weight Loss, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally and safely, and with no drugs or injections with risk of serious side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, and no exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good with a coach for ongoing support. Our program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's Brian Noonan. I've only been on this weight loss journey for 3 weeks. I've already lost 23 pounds thanks to the amazing team at Milwaukee Weight Loss. I've been eating healthier, drinking more water, and I feel a lot more energized. There's no better way to start the new year.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation by calling 262-449-1180 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
It's like being trapped in a cage. And I know that sounds dramatic, but your breathing triangle problem has got you trapped. And once you're freed, you're going to be able to live the life that you're missing out on. Now, this can simply mean experiencing the true pleasure of breathing freely. It will mean better sleep and more energy. And the worry of this problem any more affecting your life is going to be gone. Because in almost every case, when Advent has solved a breathing triangle problem, it's a one and done. Because we're not in the business of delivering Band-Aids. We want to fix your nasal breathing problem for good. We don't want you to be a lifelong patient. We want you to be our next success story.
Isn't it time you break free from that cage? Take the next step. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. It's the eve of the NFL league year and official free agent signing period. The Packers agreed to terms with offensive lineman Aaron Banks and cornerback Nate Hobbs. The Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly in conversations with Aaron Rodgers. The Bucs post up in Indianapolis tonight against the Pacers. Doc Rivers looking for a bounce back after back-to-back losses.
Just got to keep building with the new guys to get them acclimated. We got to be consistent in the way we play. Every time we play right, it's hard to beat us. And every time we don't, anyone can beat us.
Coverage of tonight's game begins at 6 o'clock. And Christian Yelich has 2 home runs in his last 2 games. The Brewers take on the Cubs this afternoon in Arizona.
Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We do have one crash that is impacting traffic right now. It's in Milwaukee County. I-43 North at the ramp from North Avenue. Right shoulder is blocked because of this crash, and traffic is moving slower around it. There's not a big backup by any means, but traffic is definitely slowing down because it's a semi involved in this crash. Emergency responders are out there. I'll let you know when it clears, but right now, we do have a crash involving a semi in I-43 North at the ramp from North Avenue.
Sunny and breezy today. Temperatures are going to be on the decline, however. We've already achieved our high for the day. 43, that was this morning. Upper 30s throughout the rest of the afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, a low of 32. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 53 to high inland, 58 on Thursday under partly cloudy skies. Could hit 70 inland on Friday with storms expected at night. 38 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee at 11:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzek and Jessica Tighe.
My daughter wanted to wear shorts today to school.
Whoa!
Yeah, she's 8 years old, so she got suckered into believing yesterday is just how it's going to be the rest of the way.
We wish.
No, it was actually a little warmer this morning than it is now, but it's that time of year where every coat in the Matzek household is in our little lockers before we get to the door that goes into the garage. Every coat we own. Just take your pick, right? It's all there. The hooks are going to fall off.
When it comes to the temps today, it is all down from here.
It definitely is. With a cap, though, however, at 32. That's the overnight low. So staying above freezing. That's good. It's 11:10. Some stories that we're on top of here this morning.
And now it's time for 3 Big Things on Wisconsin's Midday News.
Number 1. Bracing for the possibility of another volatile day on Wall Street. We witnessed a brutal sell-off yesterday. Triple-digit drops across all 3 major markets. In fact, it was the worst day in years. People are becoming more worried about tariffs as President Trump is not ruling out the possibility of entering a recession. CBS business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
The world of investing is made up of human beings. Breaking news. And those human beings are feeling a little freaked out by the on-again, off-again tariffs, retaliations, cuts at the government, and it is making people feel concerned enough that we could see the economy slow down.
So, what should you do if you're worried?
The thing I think really does soothe most of us is to take some action. And so one action item would be like, hey, let me just make sure, do I have 6 to 12 months of my living expenses in a safe account? Have I pulled money out of the market that I need to pay a tuition bill, or I got to buy a car or a home down payment? Is that money out of the risky stuff? Also, have I started to whittle away at my debt, my credit card debt, my student loan, my auto loan? And if those things are all in line, hey, let me look at my retirement account. That's long-term money. That's a good way for me to put some money to work.
At 11:11 on this Tuesday, here's where the markets stand right now. The Dow is down 543 points to 41,368. S&P 500 is down nearly 50 points to 5,564. And the Nasdaq is down more than 78 points to 17,390.
Number 2.
You are now free to move about the country.
Yeah, more like you're now free to swipe your credit card. Am I right, everyone?
Oh, jeez.
Months after ditching its open seating policy, Southwest Airlines is ending its most recognizable perk: free checked bags.
The line 2 bags fly free is a registered trademark on Southwest website, but the company has been under pressure from an investor group that's demanding changes in the business model to make the carrier more profitable. Starting in late May, 2 bags will fly free, but only for passengers who've upgraded their seats or status or have a Southwest Airlines credit card.
It's ABC's Jim Ryan. So despite not charging for the first 2 checked bags, Southwest still collected $73 million in baggage fees in 2023 and were over $60 million in the first 9 months of 2024. This is according to the Department of Transportation statistics. The other majors, for what it's worth, United, American, Delta, they each reported about $1 billion worth of checked bag fees collected in 2024. That's insane to me. That's an unbelievably high total, according to Forbes. Airline revenue from baggage fees surged to over $33 billion last year. So you get it here. February, Southwest announced they would cut 15% of its corporate workforce. It's still got a way for you to get those free checked bags, but you're going to need the credit card or upgrade your seating, which is really on par with what the other airlines do. I get 2 free bags on Delta because I have the credit card. But if I didn't, I'd be paying for those bags.
I always like to, if I can, just bring a carry-on. Just stuff it into the carry-on, and then sometimes you do have to end up checking it because they don't have enough room, but then you're not paying for it.
Yeah, all good.
They just say,
love
okay.
The gate check.
Yeah.
Love the gate check.
Number 3, hostility towards healthcare workers. 5 years ago today, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. Health experts say there's still a lot we don't know about the virus, its origins, and just how many people died from it. Officially, about 1.2 million people died from COVID here in the U.S., but doctors say that number is likely higher. And when it comes to people's trust of the healthcare system, it's still not where it once was. Lisa Olson-Gergety is a nurse practitioner. She says hostilities from patients towards healthcare workers still exist today.
I see lots of my fellow colleagues exhausted and tired, and there's a rise of violence against healthcare providers. There's still that presence of the public denying COVID.
This morning, I checked out the latest data from the CDC. It shows, for the most part, COVID-19 activity is declining across the country.
Coming up next, we split off to Arizona. Dom Cotroneo covering the Brewers during spring training. Pat Murphy's got a morning media session coming up soon, so we'll check in with Dom in advance of that. Getting down to it here in spring training. Regular season begins at the end of the month. It's 11:14.
While the Indiana underdogs may have won in the movie,
if you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, in my book, we're going to be winners.
those Hollywood fairy tales don't work when we're in town.
Damian Lillard lets it fly again, and he is locked in right now. Damian Lillard.
The Bucks head to Indiana to take on the Pacers.
4 3-pointers.
Our Bucks radio game day coverage starts tonight at 6. We are the home of the Bucks. WTMJ.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Hi, I'm Jim Token, president of the Auto Dealers of Metro Milwaukee. Did you know that Adam members employ more than 7,500 people? Plus, Adam recently completed their 14th annual Feeding America Change Your Oil promotion. To date, Adam has donated over $875,000, which provided over 2.6 million meals. Start your next car search by finding an Adam member dealer at adam.com. That's ADAMM.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Shopco Optical. Get eyewear for everything you do at Shopco Optical. Schedule your annual comprehensive eye exam, check out new frame styles, and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Enjoy the time and attention your eyes deserve at Shopco Optical. Receive quality eye care and a personalized vision solution tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. Call Shopco Optical or visit shopco.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
Mostly sunny, breezy today. Temperatures falling. It was nice and warm at midnight and kind of kept going down, and it's still going down. Upper 30s in the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 32. 53 your inland high on Wednesday. 38 and sunny in Milwaukee at 11:17. I think they had a day in the 40s last week in Arizona, the game that was rained out between the Brewers and Padres. Had to be awful.
You don't expect that. People go down there, they're looking for a lot of fun and some sunshine and some warmer weather.
Yeah, not common. It's been a nice spring here weather-wise, and Brewers going to take on the Cubs later this afternoon. Never a bad time to beat your rival, spring training or during the regular season. Dom Catronio's covering the Brewers, been doing so for better part of a month here in Arizona. Dom joins us on the line from Phoenix. Hello, Dom.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, I guess. The time change has me all out of whack right now.
Still morning here, so it's 11:17. But yes, Arizona now, it's they don't subscribe to the whole daylight savings thing. So I guess for the ball players, the clock stays the same. That's not a bad thing, right?
Not bad at all. I tell you what, as somebody who grew up here, none of us want an hour more of sunlight in the summertime. I think that goes without explanation.
Oh, jeez. So you are very soon here going to head into Pat Murphy's daily powwow. What are those like? Can you kind of take the fan inside there?
They're awesome. I think that people see Pat Murphy as this intense competitor, locked in 24/7, which, don't get me wrong, he is certainly a locked-in competitor. But for all of us in the media, for all of us with Murph and in the brass of the Brewers, it's kind of a moment to let your hair down, if you will, where we do ask serious questions where it's like, hey, what's this injury update? What's this guy's progression? How is this guy looking to you? But then there are other days where it's like, literally 2 days ago, we were talking about what would be your last meal, right? Like we're talking about what would be your favorite movie, your go-to movie. We're talking about the movie 48 Hours the other day. It's just, we are all over the place when it comes to just having a conversation with Murph. Like, we get the job stuff done quickly, and then we start talking about the silly stuff, which is super exciting.
So what was on the last meal for Murph?
Yeah.
What did you share?
I tell you what, one of his desserts just made my mouth salivate. Just a proper banana pudding with Nilla wafers, and I'm just like, you are absolutely right. That might make it on my menu too.
By the sounds of the conversations, everybody's ready for the regular season to start. Is that a fair assessment? Do you get to a point, Tom, where you just, okay, we've had enough, feeling good, let's just get this thing started?
Yes, this is that week of spring training for everybody, right? There's 16 days left to opening day. There are a ton of more cuts made yesterday. So if I could paint the picture, when you walk into the Brewers clubhouse, there's 65 lockers or so. And when you first arrive at spring training, every single one of those lockers is filled. But now, you're with 2 weeks or so to go, there are a lot more vacancies, a lot more guys that have been reassigned to minor league camp, which officially opens today. And when you see these vacancies, it gets a little bit more real, where it's like, okay, that guy could make the team, that guy could not. But, at this point, it's just collecting data, and let's find out what you really have here. It's the position battles at short and at third, and, now it's just kind of wait and see mode, and we know who the players are in these, competitions, and let's see what the decision is in 2 weeks.
Hey, today is Jackson Churio's birthday, and it's a big one. He's turning 21. Do we know how he might be celebrating? If he can celebrate, if the guys have anything even little fun planned for him tonight?
Well, here's a little WTMJ exclusive, is that we're awaiting confirmation to share this, but we were in the clubhouse, and we walk in, and there's a big set of streamers, happy birthday banner, and a giant 4-foot, like a paper mache Miller Lite can sitting right there for him. So it was pretty funny. They and also a lot of his teammates brought a cake for him, and they sang happy birthday. We have it on video, just waiting for the Brewers' approval to share it because no video or photos allowed in the clubhouse. But this is going to be an exception. Hopefully, here in a couple of minutes, that we'll be able to share this. But really cool. All the guys saying happy birthday, and yet, oh my gosh, he's an adult. He's 21, right? He's still the youngest player in Major League Baseball as things stand right now. So he's still got a lot to go. He smiles, and it was great. He's such a good kid that I don't imagine him getting into any trouble, which he certainly can do up in North Scottsdale down here in Phoenix, but that's not on his to-do list today.
I remember speaking to him through a translator 3 years ago, right? And he's 18 years old. It's like, wow, is the sky the limit for this kid? They certainly felt like it was, and it's proving to be. But amazingly, not even the youngest guy in Brewers camp this year.
Yes, Jesus Midday. Now, he's back over in minor league camp, but it's funny you bring that up, Greg, talking to Churio through a translator. That exact spot, and you know where I'm talking about. You have the flag of the Brewers logo with the Wisconsin backdrop behind it and all the cities of Wisconsin behind this flag. It's kind of in the hallway that leads you into the clubhouse. We just talked to Jesus Midday last week in front of that flag, and it just brings back memories like, wait, Churio was just here a couple years ago. Now we're talking to Midday here as a 17-year-old who doesn't turn 18 until May. He's probably bound for Low A Carolina this season, and we'll see what kind of a trajectory he could be on like Churio was on when he was still a teenager, rocketing through the Brewers minor league system.
You kind of hinted at this earlier, but the Brewers further slimmed down their roster. For the casual fan, can you kind of summarize that? What do people need to know?
Yeah, these are the guys that are definitely seen as depth. These are maybe guys that are already on the 40-man roster and need to use an option to go back down to the minor leagues, which basically means, hey, we're keeping you on our reserves. You're going to be around. You're going to be thought of if somebody gets injured later this season, but at the start of the camp, you're probably not going to be on the opening day roster. Now, that being said, there are a few guys that are either A, not on the 40-man roster, or B, fighting for positions that have options that are still remaining in camp. And I think the one that's most notable to me is Craig Yoho. And we've talked about him all camp long. I've previewed him all offseason. Craig Yoho is not on the 40-man roster yet. He would need to be added in order to make the opening day roster. He has not made his big league debut. Great story. He was a two-way player in college, but was injured most of college and didn't really get to show off what he's got pitching-wise. Now he has one of the most devastating changeups and a sneaky underrated slider too, and he is going to pitch leverage innings for the Brewers this season. You can bank on that, take it, guarantee it, stamp it. However, I don't know if it'll be on opening day. So it'll be at some point this season, but he's still hanging around here with 2 weeks to go.
That is a good point, Don, because there will be a lot made about the Brewers roster and who breaks camp and joins the team on the major league level, but it really is just a starting point, right? I mean, this thing is fluid throughout the year.
Just to give a picture of it, Greg, like last year, you know who started at third base for the Brewers on opening day? Andrew Monasterio. And Monasterio spent most of the season with the Brewers, obviously, in a bench role, but it just goes to show you opening day is just a snapshot in time. It's not set in stone. You can only carry these 26 guys all year long. We were joking yesterday with the Mariners broadcasters that they only used 7 starters all season, and the 7th guy only made 1 start. The Brewers are like, hold my beer. 17 starters last year. So no matter what you have, depth you think you have, or injuries pop up, guys don't perform, there are so many variables that happen in a 162-game season. The opening day roster is just a snapshot of when you left spring training.
Earlier this morning, I saw there was this ranking of MLB stadiums across the country. It was number 1 to 28, and they had American Family Field at number 24. I'll be honest, there wasn't a lot of depth to this ranking as to why they put certain stadiums in certain spots, but it made me wonder, you travel across the country, you're looking at the Brewers games, where do you put American Family Field, and what stadium do you think is number 1 on your list?
I think American Family Field's easily top half, and the best quality about it is you know you're going to play. The roof just is so helpful. It is such an underrated aspect that you know you're going to play, right? How many games, Greg, have we had down in Chicago where it's like, it looks like forecast, it looks like there's a window, and you're like, don't have to worry about that in the slightest. However, If you're excluding like the historic ballparks like Fenway and Wrigley and even Dodger Stadium, right? Because I love Fenway Park. That's my favorite ballpark in Major League Baseball. Love Boston. My girlfriend is from Boston, so there's a little bit of sentimentality there.
Sure.
But if I had to just pick one, I really, really enjoy this ballpark, it's San Diego. Petco Park, they nailed it right in the heart of downtown, walkable to everything you want to go to in San Diego, perfect weather. I absolutely love Petco.
Okay.
Good stuff, Dom. We always appreciate your time. Tell Murph we said hello, okay?
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
we'll
Dom.
check it again next week. Dom Cotroneo from Brewers Spring Training. 11:26, news coming up.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes senior living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from Three Pillars resident Lola.
When I was new, I come in and sit down, and people join me. And you get to know people, talk about feeling welcome. Art classes first early in the morning. Right now, I'm also involved in being a production assistant with a theater group. Every month, they have a supper club with a different theme. First one that I went to, they had a luau. I am so lucky to have ended up in this place, and I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Schedule a tour today at threepillars.org.
Save big on everything for your next project. Now at Menards. A new Chamberlain Smart Garage Door Opener will bring convenience and security to your home. These openers are easy to control with your smartphone, allowing you to open or close your garage door from anywhere. Menards offers the largest selection of Chamberlain Garage Door Openers in stock. View the weekly flyer and all of our great deals happening this week on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
For their accounts payable workflow, Junior Achievement of Wisconsin implemented a document management and workflow automation solution from James Imaging Systems. Junior Achievement Vice President of Enterprise Services, Lori Salzman, highlights the positive impact.
That impact has made it much more streamlined for us to handle the entire process from receiving an invoice to having it paid.
How has streamlining your accounts payable workflow benefited Junior Achievement's mission?
It has allowed us to be more on mission and strategically reach out and expand our impact to be able to reach more students.
If others are looking for workflow automation solutions to better serve their clients or customers, what's your suggestion?
If anybody is looking for a good partner that is there to help find solutions, call James Imaging.
Content management and workflow automation from James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
Family owned and operated. Yep, we sure are. Since 1970. And I know you've probably heard it a million times. But the words family owned and operated hold a lot of water. They mean you can count on dealing with an expert. Because when your dad runs the show, he teaches you all that he knows. They mean prompt service. Because it's not just our job, it's a big part of our life. They mean you're actually working with someone who has accountability and a real interest in your satisfaction and their business's overall success. So when you hear businesses say the words family-owned and operated, give them a try, because small business owners like us really do have your best interest in mind. And when you need advice from Southeastern Wisconsin's foremost glass experts, call me. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of Southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
It's 11:30. I'm Greg Matzek. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Tuesday, March 11th. Your top story, a corrections officer charged with child trafficking.
I'm Jessica Tighe. How federal funding impacts Wisconsin's budget.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. U.S. businesses importing steel and aluminum from Canada could get hit with a rise in prices. President Trump on social media says the U.S. is imposing another 25% tariff on the imported metals. ABC's Karen Travers with details.
Those tariffs will go into effect on Wednesday. The president says he's retaliating for the tariffs that Ontario has placed on electricity it sends to Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. He also threatened to increase tariffs on cars coming into the U.S. from Canada starting April 2nd.
Ontario's Premier Doug Ford calling the tit-for-tat trade battle mass chaos. The House will vote on a GOP bill today aimed at averting a government shutdown. That deadline at the end of this week. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's confident it will pass, even as Democrats say they'll oppose the bill.
We'll have the votes. We're going to pass the CR. We can do it on our own.
Today marks 5 years since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic that led to lockdowns and a surge in COVID deaths. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 11:31 from the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom. A former correctional officer charged with exploiting a child. 40-year-old Samuel Pieper of Whitewater faces 4 felony charges for child sexual exploitation and trafficking. Officers searched Pieper's home on March 6th after receiving tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children of money being transferred to the children in exchange for videos or images in June or July of 2024. Pieper resigned his position as a correctional officer in Walworth County. So far, the investigation hasn't found any known local victims.
A car crashes into a bicyclist in Glendale, injuring a 73-year-old woman. She's now in the hospital with critical injuries. The crash happened shortly after 4:30 Monday afternoon at the intersection of Green Bay Avenue and Green Tree Road. The driver of the car stayed there at the scene. Glendale Police and Wisconsin State Patrol are investigating.
Wisconsin's state budget relies on billions in funding from the federal government. That means funding cuts could impact the current budget process. President of the Wisconsin Policy Forum, Jason Stein, tells WTMJ the largest programs to get funding are
Medicaid. In addition, within the Department of Health Services, there's Food Share, which is what used to be called food stamps. There's also several billion in federal funding at the University of Wisconsin that's from everything from research to student financial aid.
UW-Madison is on a list of schools that could lose money over claims it tolerated anti-Semitism during pro-Palestinian protests.
CVS is planning to close another location in southeastern Wisconsin. This time it's the pharmacy at 92nd and Greenfield in West Dallas. The last day, April 15th. Prescriptions will be transferred to the location at 75th and Blue Mound in Tosa. The company closed the location at Villard and Teutonia in Milwaukee in January. Company officials confirmed to WTMJ there are no additional closures planned for Wisconsin in the immediate future.
An estimated 250,000 people are expected to visit Green Bay during next month's NFL draft. One homeowner has his house ready to go. NBC 26's McLeod Hageman.
The process has been a little different for this situation.
Do you have the home rented for the draft then?
So no, we do not. So a Lambeau layover is still available.
Okay.
With fewer than 50 days to go until the draft, Jim Sweeney is patiently waiting for someone to rent his house called Lambeau Layover, a Packers-themed home blocks away from Lambeau, and after nearly doubling the usual rate for the draft.
And we feel that's a good point to be at.
Sweeney says he's confident someone will still rent Lambeau Layover.
It's been a challenge, but I think we're at that point where we feel it's a good value.
The draft begins April 24th and runs through the 26th.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:34.
You gotta get to Built Right today. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Built Right furniture, leather, and mattresses. Shop Built Right's annual Friends and Family Sale and $1 million clearance sell-off on now. If you are looking for affordable, better quality furniture or mattresses, you got to do what my wife and I did. We went to Built Right. We love our new living room furniture, our son's sleeping on a new mattress, and most importantly, we enjoyed the shopping experience. 4 generations, 97 years strong, celebrating 19 years in the Greenfield location. 3rd and 4th generation family members in the store, working alongside their amazing team. Be ready for your Easter guests with thousands of items in stock or custom order at a low sale price. USA made, small scale, Ohio Amish made, and real solid wood furniture. 60 models of USA made mattresses. Built Right always saves you money. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, closed to be with family. Make sure to tell them Vinny sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true.
but offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people, but the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Celebrate a birthday, anniversary, or retirement this week with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill. Buy one dinner, get one free, 7 nights a week. Google Fox and Hounds restaurant and enjoy your free dinner.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Well, the NFL League year and free agent signing period begins officially on Wednesday afternoon. Packers agree to terms with offensive lineman Aaron Banks and cornerback Nate Hobbs. Banks played for the 49ers last season. Hobbs played for the Raiders. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly in conversations with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Bucks in Indiana tonight in a potential playoff preview, taking on the Pacers. Head coach Doc Rivers looking for a bounce-back effort from his Bucks after back-to-back losses.
Just got to keep building with the new guys to get them acclimated. We got to be consistent in the way we play. Every time we play right, it's hard to beat us. And every time we don't, anyone can beat us.
Coverage of tonight's game begins at 6 o'clock. And the Brewers take on the Cubs this afternoon in Arizona. Cactus League play continues. Christian Yelich has 2 home runs in his last 2 games.
Take a look at the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. I do have an update for you, and it's some good news. The crash has cleared at I-43 North at North Avenue. That was the crash involving a semi at the North Avenue ramp. That has now cleared. We have a couple disabled vehicles on the system, but they're not causing problems.
Steady decline in temperatures here. There will be a bottoming out period. Low of 32, but we started off in the 50s shortly after midnight, progressed down to the 40s about the time you woke up, and now we're in the upper 30s. Wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Partly cloudy tonight, a low of 32. Sunny, 53 inland on Wednesday, partly cloudy on Thursday, 58 away from the lake. Could touch 70 on Friday. 38 degrees, sunny in Milwaukee at 11:38. An execution case in South Carolina has reignited the debate over the concept of capital punishment. Should the death penalty be legal in more states? Just 27 states have the death penalty associated with it. There's another execution scheduled for next week in Louisiana. Wanted to welcome in ABC's Jim Ryan. Jim, we've been following these cases and another case out of Texas with Robert Robertson, which is still winding its way through the court system. But 3 unique cases here popping up in the South.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have reignited the debate over capital punishment, whether more states should have it, whether any states should have it. Of course, there are opponents who say that no state should have executions allowed, and yet we do. South Carolina last week involved a case of a man who murdered his ex-girlfriend's parents in 2001, bludgeoned them to death. He was put to death. He was given a choice, and he chose the firing squad. And that's how he died on Friday night. This coming week, the case in Louisiana involves a man who has been told that he will die by nitrogen hypoxia. And the way that works, the prisoner is lying there on the table in the execution room, has a mask put over his face, something like in the dentist's office. It's feeding oxygen. That oxygen is replaced with nitrogen. Essentially, the inmate suffocates. The inmate in that case, Jesse Hoffman, is arguing that that's cruel, inhumane, violates his religious rights. He would rather simply drink a mixture of compounds that would, in apple juice, that would kill him, essentially.
Jim, what manner is the most common, and what about the least common?
Well, lethal injection is the one that most states have adopted and the most accepted. Of course, a few years ago, some of the European pharmaceutical companies decided they wouldn't sell their products to U.S. prison systems because they knew how they were going to be used, and they opposed the death penalty. So that has created the shortage of injection drugs. Some states have tried different combinations of different drugs with varying success, but other states have started looking around at some of their old methods, including the electric chair, including firing squads in some cases, and even a couple of states have the gas chamber. So, it's a ghoulish kind of thing, but states are being forced now to re-examine how they carry out capital punishment.
In the case of Brad Sigmund, Jim, he elected to die via firing squad. He didn't want the other stuff. He didn't want the electric chair, gas chamber, or anything like that. The first person to be killed by a firing squad in the last 15 years in the United States. Should the person being sentenced or sentenced to death have any say in how they pass?
It's not for me to say. But that's part of the debate. Should inmates, as a matter of justice, should they be allowed to choose what they believe is going to be the least painful or the least humane? This guy bludgeoned a couple of people to death with a baseball bat, and yet was allowed to choose a relatively and apparently quick method of dying. Witnesses who were there in the execution chamber say that it was over in just a few minutes. A 3-member firing squad opened fire on him, and that was it.
Here in Wisconsin, we do not have the death penalty. Right. How many states do, and would you say those states have any other similarities?
Well, 27 states, and they're kind of scattered all over the country. You'll remember that Utah was the one where capital punishment was resumed. Gary Gilmore, and that was a firing squad case. But it's interesting to see where public opinion falls on this. Back in the 1990s, about 80% of Americans supported the death penalty, right? Even in states where it wasn't legal, they thought that their state should have it. Now that number has plunged to 53%. That's a 5-decade low, according to Gallup, a poll taken this past year. So public sentiment seems to be going away from capital punishment, Jessica.
I wonder if part of that, too, is just because sometimes this has been botched. Even with firing squads, we've seen it where it's botched. But throughout history, have they made changes to try to ultimately avoid botching it and to make sure this gets done and done quickly?
Well, I think lethal injection was seen as sort of the perfect solution to all of that. That public opinion, against it, considering somebody sitting in the gas chamber or being shot or hanged or something else. Someone assumed that because it's a quiet, and I've witnessed an execution by lethal injection, and it's a quiet and apparently peaceful way to go. And I think that's why supporters of the death penalty were okay with that method.
That's fascinating, Jim. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that case when you actually witnessed it?
Well, yeah, I had covered the crimes committed by this person back in the late 80s, early 90s, and covered his trial and then covered the execution down in Austin. It was an interesting process, from start to finish, from the initial crimes all the way till the end of the story, which was the end of this inmate.
Fascinating stuff. ABC's Jim Ryan joining us from Texas. Jim, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Jim.
Thanks, guys.
A cancer diagnosis shouldn't mean we can't make plans. It shouldn't mean living without joy or optimism. Cancer shouldn't be calling the shots. At the Frederick and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Network, we're pushing to put cancer in its place by pulling together teams of leading specialists and researchers who work tirelessly for breakthroughs, who are developing innovative ways to treat every cancer, to treat your cancer. And by providing the largest cancer clinical trials treatment program in Wisconsin. So there are more treatment options and more reasons to be hopeful. So let's keep innovating. Let's keep discovering. Let's push to make every cancer diagnosis a story of survivorship and bring back the lightness of life that cancer takes away. To learn more about breakthrough cancer care, visit frederick.com/cancer.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself, but she's not following your directions?
Sit. Sit.
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
A buck in today's world doesn't go far unless you're spending it at Griffin. Because for just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. Buy one or a whole set. This is Jim Griffin, any major brand. We'll put you in new tires for just $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. That's right, $1 over cost, and we'll even show you the invoice to prove it. So what's the catch? There's really no catch. You don't have to buy a car or a truck from us. We'd like it if you did, but our only requirement is we put them on for you. Buy one, two, or a set of four. The $1 deal at Griffin. Available at Griffin Chrysler Jeep South, 27th Street and Jefferson. Griffin Chevrolet in the Auto Mall. Griffin Ford, Waukesha, and Fort Atkinson. 5 ways to make your dollar go further. Griffin, the buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. $1 over cost. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
As clutch of a player to ever play basketball.
It's Dame time on Season 4 of Behind the Bucks on Bucks Plus.
This year I was like, I need to impose myself more on this team.
Explore Damian Lillard's journey to becoming a top 75 player in NBA history.
That's what really had me feeling like this is going to be great.
Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and H&R benefits consultant. Find Bucks Plus on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Well, temperatures have been steadily falling since about midnight or so. In fact, we've already achieved our high for the day. 32 will be your overnight low. Tomorrow we get up to 53 inland. It's going to be a little cooler near the lake. Might see some rain in the forecast on Friday, but we've got a little period here where we've got to be in the 50s on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday we could touch 70 degrees. 38 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee at 11:47.
So we were just talking with ABC's Jim Ryan about the renewed debate over capital punishment. 2 executions in our country, one last week and one set for next week, have really reignited the debate over this. Well, here in Wisconsin, we do not have the death penalty. And I was thinking about this earlier this morning. I thought, I know that we don't have the death penalty, but I don't know a lot about the history. So I was looking into it. I looked at 2 different sources, the Death Penalty Information Center and also the Wisconsin Historical Society. And here's what I found. There was a man named John McCaffrey. He was the first and last person to be executed under Wisconsin state law. That was way back in the early 1850s. On a summer night, more than 2,000 people gathered to witness his execution in Kenosha. Some reports say it was 3,000, but bottom line, more than 2,000 people, and they traveled from all parts of the state to witness this. He had received the death penalty for drowning his wife in a big barrel in the backyard. Neighbors heard some screaming. McCaffrey was immediately arrested because police got to the scene right away. His trial started in May of 1851, and it lasted 10 days. Jury found him guilty, and boom, that's when the judge delivered the first and only death sentence here in the state of Wisconsin.
Which is really interesting because you're talking about, 1851 is when the murder happened and when the trial started, right? I mean,
Trial started 1851.
Wisconsin was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right? 3 years old. So who knows what they had in the world of correctional facilities and prisons and so on. I don't know what that looked like in Wisconsin in the 1850s. There may not have been many options aside of, paying the ultimate price for your crime.
So this man was killed by hanging here in our state. Reporters' accounts say that he struggled for about 5 minutes, and then doctors were called over to look for a pulse. And another 15 minutes later, this man was declared dead. So it was gruesome. And 2 years later was when Wisconsin got rid of the death penalty. Our state was actually the first to permanently abolish the death penalty for all crimes. So it might have you wondering, okay, throughout the years, has anybody tried to bring it back? And yes, there have been attempts. In fact, there have been numerous attempts to try to bring it back. But the biggest push, and some of you will remember this, was in the early 90s after we realized the full scope of Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes. So you think about it, murder, dismemberment, necrophilia, cannibalism. I mean, we were outraged and absolutely disgusted by Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes. So then at that point, you had some state politicians who were calling for the return of the death penalty. But as we know, Wisconsin does not have the death penalty, so that never happened.
In discussing with Jim these cases that have popped up across the country, now 3 that we've been talking about, all in the South, for what it's worth, we've discovered that, 27 states have the death penalty as an option, a potential option. I didn't look at the full map on that, but it's interesting to note that Wisconsin got rid of it after its only instance of using it, just in how much time, right? In the same year that it was first used in Wisconsin, it was gone in Wisconsin. I can't imagine how many people were witnessing what had happened. They showed up for something that was, so heinous, but
yeah, thousands of people.
Yes.
Thousands of people traveled. At least 2,000 people, possibly 3,000 went to witness that execution in Kenosha.
That's incredible. So 1851, that is wild. So, yes, it's been an ongoing debate for a number of years. I feel like if it didn't resurrect itself during the Dahmer situation, that we're likely never to see it in Wisconsin again.
Yeah, it
just
does
can't
make you
imagine
wonder
anything
what
worse.
could happen. Right.
Right. And not that there aren't other instances where, perhaps it would have made sense to use, but I can't think of anything worse.
Well, part of that, too, going back to the Jeffrey Dahmer time when people were trying to resurrect the death penalty here in Wisconsin, he also then died. So that was part of it.
Sure.
Dahmer died, and so things fizzled off from that. Also, I think at that time, too, murders were down as well. So that was part of it. That all played into it. But boom, Dahmer was dead, and just people weren't bringing it up as much.
Yeah, 27 states, and it looks like Ohio is maybe the closest state. Since 2009, 7 states have abolished the death penalty. That includes Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Mexico, and Virginia. Ohio appears to be maybe the closest state, and the only Midwestern state that's in the mix to use the death penalty if so needed.
Yeah, it seemed like when I was asking Jim, I said, when you look at the states that do have the death penalty, do you see any similarities beyond that? Because when I was kind of looking at the map, I thought, more southern areas.
Oh,
have
definitely. Actually, Indiana is on this list now, too. So Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida in that group, Kentucky, Louisiana, as we talked about. We were talking to Jim about a case in Texas that has popped up here. I think I mentioned Louisiana. So, yeah, it's not nationwide support for it, but about half the country. It's 11:52.
Wisconsin's Morning News is here for you every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. Vince Petrano.
Milwaukee Public Schools has reached a contract agreement with the new superintendent,
Eric Billstad.
President Trump's first address to a joint session of Congress since retaking office, telling lawmakers and the nation that, quote, America is back.
And traffic, Debbie Loziga.
Loziga just a little bit tight on northbound 43 from Sutter Street up towards Keith.
The news you need to know. Wisconsin's Morning News on WTMJ.
Helping people and families seriously injured in accidents and standing up for victims to take the burden off their shoulders. Greg Matzek here for Gruber Law Offices. Check them out, gruber-law.com. You call on Gruber if you've been hurt in an accident, and they take it from there, focusing on the legal aspect while you focus on healing, which is what you want to be doing. Gruber has been doing it right in the state of Wisconsin for over 40 years, and giving back to the community, top priority for the family-run business at Gruber Law Offices. Make the call, 414-276-6666, to one of the largest personal injury firms in the Midwest. Locally known and nationally recognized, visit gruber-law.com.
When Blaine's Farm and Fleet was founded 70 years ago, selling goods at a discount wasn't the norm. The Blaine brothers helped pioneer a new era in retail, and we've helped supply Midwest farms and families with quality products at unbeatable prices ever since. Like Mobile Delvac 1300 diesel oil as low as $9.99 after mail-in rebate, and Blaine's brand Platinum Automotive batteries $5 off for rewards members. In-store or online, we've got the value you need to do things your way. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Be an original.
Are you sick of not being your bank's top priority? We are too. At Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. We're proud to be your one true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. That's right in your backyard. Whether you're opening your first account, buying a home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have tailored solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank at Wintrust.com. Wintrust, different approach, better results. Banking products provided by Wintrust Financial Corp Banks, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Whoa, amber is the color of your energy. Whoa, shades of gold is
U.S. airlines say Americans are changing their spending habits all of a sudden and are not booking as many domestic airlines tickets. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
Consumers who had money to spend in recent years are now opting to save that money instead of travel, according to airlines, including Delta, who are filing new revenue outlooks. They're reporting an overall feeling of pessimism over the future of the economy, and fear over recent plane crashes have consumers, companies, and the government cutting back on booking air travel domestically. But Delta says international and premium travel remain strong. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Yeah, that was big. Delta noted that both corporate and leisure bookings are down right now. But you think about it, I mean, it all makes sense. If you're paying a lot more money at the grocery store and you have to watch your budget, you're not going to be looking to go on just this fun trip for fun with the fam.
We've talked about inflation for the last couple of years now, right? So transitioning from the Biden presidency to the Trump presidency and trying to figure out, would there be a curb in inflation? But people are spending. There is no doubt people are spending, and part of that is necessity, but overall, inflation remains where it is because there's not been this drop-off in spending. Meanwhile, the markets are tumbling, and that may cause some to sort of pull back a little bit, especially if you're near retirement age, and you notice thousands of dollars being removed from your 401k involuntarily, right?
Did you look yesterday?
No, I've not looked in the last couple of weeks, and college savings fund, right? You got trying to save for your kids' college. That money is starting to erode a little bit, and hopefully there's a rebound in sight. But it is interesting to note the difference between domestic and international or premium travel. The last couple of trips we've taken have been outside of the country, and it to me it registers as an experience, something different, and it might be once in a lifetime. I still think there is something to be said, and maybe why people are still traveling in those spaces, to go someplace you've never done before.
I love it.
We can do Florida again. We've done Florida 10 times. We can punt on that this year. But how about something a little more interesting, different, London, Ireland, whatever. So I'm not surprised to see those bookings still strong.
Well, I think at the end of the day, though, you're going to see people, I mean, when it comes to leisure period, whether it's in the country or outside of the country, I think they're going to stop booking because of that, because at the end of the day, it is money. But yeah, I'm with you about the experience. I'm all about a good experience. But this kind of takes you back. I mean, it takes you back almost to the pandemic time when you had all of a sudden these carriers saying, oh, okay, we're looking ahead. Bookings are down right now, and we've got to put out our forecast. But remember back coming out of the pandemic? I mean, we could not get enough of travel.
Sure.
All of a sudden, it was like we couldn't travel. We wanted to travel. Everybody was trying to travel, go somewhere and get the heck out of Dodge, right?
And people had already spent money on stuff for their house because they were in it so many months and, beyond a year or so.
Making the house nicer, making the backyard nicer, just because you're spending more time at home.
11:58 News is coming up next.
Hi, I'm Tony Drake from Drake & Associates. If you're in or near retirement, you're facing one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. When to take Social Security. Should you claim it now or wait for a bigger benefit? The wrong decision could cost you tens of thousands of dollars in lost income. And once you lock in your choice, there's no do-over. The truth is, Social Security is more complicated than most people think. The age you file, your marital status, other income sources, all of it impacts how much you'll receive. And in today's economy with rising costs and uncertainty about future benefits, you need to make every dollar count. At Drake & Associates, we help hardworking Americans make smart decisions about retirement. Income is just one stop on your retirement-ready roadmap, and we'll help you navigate every turn so you can maximize your benefits and keep more of what you earned. Don't make this decision blindly. Get the facts and a plan today. Text SS to 414-897-9522 to claim your free retirement toolkit and a copy of my book, Get Retirement Ready. Inside, you'll learn strategies to help optimize your Social Security, reduce taxes, and create a retirement income plan that works for you. But don't wait. These resources are only available while supplies last. Secure your future today. Text SS to 414-897-9522. Drake & Associates, helping you retire with confidence.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
For WTMJ contest rules, visit WTMJ.com/contests. Stay up to date with your trusted and relevant source in news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm Greg Matzek. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Tuesday, March 11th. Your top story, using tariffs to grow the economy.
I'm Jessica Tighe. Sales tank at a popular Wisconsin retail chain.
Breezy today. Temperatures on the decline, down to 32. Your overnight low. Wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Tomorrow, 53 your high under mostly sunny skies away from the lake. It's 38 and sunny in Milwaukee at 12:01. From the WTMJ breaking newsroom, President Trump announcing retaliatory measures on Canada after they slapped a 25% tariff on electricity sent to the United States, saying he's adding a 50% tariff on steel and aluminum. ABC's Karen Travers with more from Washington.
In this Truth Social media post, the president also threatened to increase tariffs on cars coming into the United States from Canada starting on April 2nd. The president says that this will, quote, essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. So this might not end here with this increase from 25 to 50% on the steel and aluminum we get from Canada, but the president seeming to expand this in a couple of weeks and target cars.
The president facing increased pressure to show he has a plan to grow the economy after a brutal stock market sell-off on Monday and further jitters today.
Canada is not reacting lightly to President Trump's 50% tariff on imports. Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade was recently on the campaign trail going door to door. He tells Wisconsin's Afternoon News he's never seen the country more united.
Every single door, they told me the same thing, that they now, when they go to a grocery store, they turn every label around to make sure that the product was not made in the United States, or they told me that they're canceling their trips to Florida or anywhere in the United States.
Ontario alone could lose 250,000 jobs due to U.S. tariffs.
Wisconsin's largest public university is at risk of losing a portion of its federal funding if they fail to protect Jewish students on campus. A letter from the United States Department of Education lists UW-Madison among 60 college and universities warned about the possible loss of funding. In 2024, pro-Palestinian student encampments led to fear among some Jewish students on campus. UW-Madison currently has 2 open Title IX investigations against it alleging violations relating to anti-Semitic harassment and discrimination.
Sales plunge at Menominee Falls-based Kohl's.
The fourth quarter net income at Kohl's dropped 74% from a year ago, and sales fell more than 9% for the quarter. New CEO Ashley Buchanan says their plan moving forward will be to offer a more balanced assortment, reestablish Kohl's as a leader in quality, and create a smooth experience both in-store and online. But he admits it's going to take some time to right the ship. Some layoffs and store closures have already taken place. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
A fire displaces 5 Madison residents, including a pair of UW-Madison students. Firefighters responding to a home near Gorham Street in Patterson about 4:20 in the afternoon on Monday. A fire had spread from the second floor to the third. Firefighters experienced a fire attack when attempting to contain the flames. Madison Fire Department brought it under control in about 40 minutes. The American Red Cross is providing assistance to all the displaced residents, and the University of Wisconsin is also assisting the students. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is way off today, down about 655 points at 40,256. The NASDAQ also down about 150 points at 17,326. S&P 500 off about 70 at 5544. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. It's financial planning at every level. For details, visit annexwealth.com.
It's the eve of the NFL league year. You know what that means? We'll tell you next. Sports, traffic, and weather right after this. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 12:05.
Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. So he said to me, "Boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders." And I said, "You betcha." And he said, "Do you mind if I cherry pick?" And I said, "Feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
It's time to take action to stop your sleep struggle. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. It's the eve of the NFL league year and official free agent signing period. Packers agreeing to terms with offensive lineman Aaron Banks and cornerback Nate Hobbs. The Steelers are reportedly in conversations with Aaron Rodgers. Bucks in Indiana tonight. They'll take on the Pacers. Head coach Doc Rivers looking for a little bounce-back effort after back-to-back losses.
Just got to keep building with the new guys to get them acclimated. We got to be consistent in the way we play. Every time we play right, it's hard to beat us. And every time we don't, anyone can beat us.
Coverage of tonight's game begins at 6 o'clock. And Christian Yelich starting to heat up a little here. 2 home runs in his last 2 games during spring training. Brewers take on the Cubs this afternoon in Arizona. Our next broadcast scheduled for Friday afternoon.
Let's get you an update on the roads right now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. A new crash just popped up minutes ago in Milwaukee County. It's on the exit to Capitol Drive East from 43 North. That is a busy spot. It's also a spot that still has construction going on. As I'm taking a peek, I can see 3. It's interesting. It looks like 3 cars are involved, but I'll tell you what, the sun is shining and there's a little bit of glare, so it's possible that one of those is also an emergency responder, but no lights on there. So we've got a couple of cars involved. Once again, this is a new crash that just popped up on the exit to Capitol Drive East from I-43 North. It is a busy spot. No major backups at the time, but this will slow traffic down as they're coming up on it.
Temperatures dropping into the 30s will bottom out about 32. That'll be your overnight low. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. 53 your high inland, little cooler near the lake. Partly cloudy on Thursday. 58 inland, 50 near the lake. Might touch 70 inland. On Friday, rain expected later in the evening. 37 and sunny in Milwaukee at 12:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzek and Jessica Tighe.
Hey, welcome in Tuesday edition of Wisconsin's Midday News on WTMJ. Greg and Jessica with you until 1 o'clock. So I just did this story. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in discussion.
It makes you go... Even if you can't stand the guy anymore, there's still some interest there, right? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, so the Jets ended up taking one of the old Steelers quarterbacks from last season, Justin Fields, so it kind of opened up an opportunity for a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh if they don't move ahead with Russell Wilson, former Wisconsin Badger. So Rodgers to the Steelers, that could actually work because Pittsburgh's a professional organization.
Yeah.
The Jets are a dumpster fire. Anybody who goes there is not likely to perform well as a quarterback. It's been decades since it's happened.
So people be like whipping around those terrible towels?
Well, what's interesting is that the Packers will play the Steelers this upcoming season, and some believe that game could be played in Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, yeah, that would be
Potentially.
fascinating.
So we shall see. Minnesota also needs a quarterback. This could get interesting.
I don't know because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is not going to want to come back if it's going to be another bad year. And he's not a fortune teller. I know he's doing like weird baths and, smelling salts and things like that, but he's not a fortune teller. So I don't know. It's a gamble, and I'm curious to see if it's a gamble he wants to take.
Pittsburgh, a playoff team a year ago. Same for Minnesota. Both teams looking for a new starting quarterback. Interesting stuff. Some big stories that we're following here. It's 12:10 on WTMJ.
It's now at noon on Wisconsin's Midday News.
Today marks 5 years since the World Health Organization classified COVID-19 as a pandemic. Remember that? ABC's Michelle Franzen reports.
The WHO says over 7 million people have died from COVID since 2020. And even though there's no longer a pandemic, the virus still claiming lives. The WHO says in the past 28 days, there's been more than 3,000 COVID deaths worldwide and says 2,700 of those deaths were in the U.S. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
So I just checked out the latest data from the CDC, and it shows COVID-19 activity is declining nationally, but elevated in some areas across the country. And one way to track infection levels in your community, especially if people aren't going to the doctor, is to test sewage. So here in Wisconsin, the viral activity level in wastewater is moderate. Bottom line, could be better here in Wisconsin, but could also be worse.
Number 2, a follow-up to a story that we brought you in February. A Wisconsin high school athlete will be allowed to play softball after a temporary injunction against the WIAA. Here's the story. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty secured the injunction that will allow Macy Weigel to participate this spring. The WIAA initially ruled Macy ineligible, citing its transfer rules. Macy began her high school career at a tuition-based Christian school in Baraboo. No athletics offered at the school. She transferred to Baraboo after her youngest sibling was diagnosed with a rare but serious blood condition. That blood condition forced Macy's mom to quit her teaching job. So becoming a one-income family, they decided, well, private school, let's not do that. Let's go to the public system. The WIAA determined Macy was ineligible for 1 year, theorizing that the transfer was not caused by an extenuating circumstance. The Weigel family and the lawyers disagreed.
We reached out to the I did, assuming that they were there to help. And I quickly realized they were the problem. They're not the help. This rule isn't made for someone like her.
That is Nathan Weigel, Macy's father, who I spoke with in February. Weigel's appeal of the ruling was immediately denied. So the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty comes in and says, no, look, you don't have this power to hold her back from playing. That's not the spirit of the transfer rule.
How many times have we heard about that is not the spirit of that rule? This is what, the second time in about a year?
Josh Shomwanili, the high school track star from Campbellsport, was another case that we talked about last year. And typically the WIAA succumbs to public pressure. They did in the Shomwanili ruling. This one was taken to a higher power, and they're going to allow Macy to play for now. We'll see if there's more developments. I've been texting back and forth with Macy's father, and we hope to have him on the program to kind of clarify things for us tomorrow.
It certainly sounds like a hardship for that family at the time.
For sure.
Well, the recent drops of the stock market may have some of you looking to get out. Caleb Silver, editor-in-chief at Investopedia, says big sell-offs don't necessarily mean you need to sell your stocks right away. But he says if you are going to get out, you should have a plan.
If you're selling losses, you can apply those losses to offset your taxes, or you can hide out in cash or money markets if you are fearful of the stock market. You just don't know when to get back in. Timing the market is extremely hard.
All right, coming on 12:15 here on this Tuesday. Here's where Wall Street stands right now with the markets. The Dow is down 660 points to 41,240. S&P 500 is down 71 points to 5,543. And the NASDAQ is down 155 points to 17,312. Everything is down, everything in the red.
Tesla stock down 15% yesterday. A mass sell-off. Not a great time for Tesla, at least not right now. We'll get into it with Mike Dubusky. It's Tech Tuesday coming up after this.
I've always believed that great service makes all the difference. At Waterstone Bank, It's more than just banking. It's personal. When I needed help choosing an account, my banker took the time to understand my needs and guided me through my options. Thanks to her advice, I can watch my money grow, knowing it's secure.
Welcome to your Waterstone Bank, where community and personal service come together. Member FDIC.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzek. Want to get you down to Potawatomi Sportsbook for all of the craziness here in the month of March. Boy, it's a sports lover's paradise if you love watching sports, including all the great basketball that has already really started, right? At all levels. Basketball, front and center on that 2,000 square foot video wall. All the action will be there at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Check it out. I'll be there tomorrow night for the weekly wager on 94.5 ESPN. Come see what it's all about and bet above the rest only at Potawatomi.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 5-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
Temperature's starting to drop a little bit. We'll get down to 32. That'll be your overnight low. So we stay at freezing or above. That's the good news following yesterday's beautiful day. 53 your high inland on Wednesday, 58 your high inland on Thursday. You might touch 70s inland on Friday. Storms are expected in the evening hours. Some could be on the strong side. 37 and sunny in Milwaukee at 12:16.
It's Tech Tuesday with ABC News technology reporter Mike Dubusky.
We're not sure if he will be a judge in the upcoming AI beauty pageant, but he is our guest every Tuesday on Tech Tuesday.
The latest and greatest in the world of tech.
Tesla's next product, they call it a robo-taxi. These are AR glasses. They're called simply the Frame.
On Wisconsin's Midday News.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo.
Tech Tuesday on a Tuesday edition of Wisconsin's Midday News, our weekly check-in with ABC tech expert. It's Mike Dubusky. Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well. So yesterday we were in our pre-production meeting, and we were sifting through Twitter and X and so on, and all of a sudden, collectively, we said, hang on a second, X is down, things aren't working. And on a day I'm very closely following happenings in the NFL, very busy day in the NFL, not a great time for X to go down. How widespread was their outage? It seemed to be a little intermittent. It would come back and then it would go away. What's the root cause and how widespread was this?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Greg. We saw over the course of the day 4 separate outages hit X, obviously the platform that we used to call Twitter. It all started around 6 a.m. Eastern time, people logging in, finding that they can't post any new content, they can't refresh their feed, see anything new. Normally, guys, this would not be a ton of cause for concern, right? We see these big platforms, they're very complex. They break occasionally. They go down, and engineers need to rush in and fix it. Normally, an outage like this is resolved within an hour or two, depending on the nature of the problem. However, over the course of the day, it happened 3 more times, a total of 4 outages over the course of Monday. About 40,000 users reported they were experiencing problems to Down Detector. That's a website that tracks this sort of thing. And guys, that's only the people who went out of their way to report that something was wrong. You can imagine the actual amount of people that were affected was much larger than that. Elon Musk has come out and responded to all this. He posted on X in the midst of all this that the platform had been hit by a massive cyber attack. And he said that that came from a large coordinated group or country. Later in the day, he went on Fox News and claimed that it all came from a Ukrainian IP address, a Ukrainian computer. However, there are a number of cybersecurity experts who are casting doubt on that claim, saying that generally speaking, a state-sponsored cyber attack like this has a clear political message, and it's sort of fuzzy on what an intermittent disruption of service over the course of a day really sends in terms of political messaging. What's more, Elon Musk has also claimed cyber attack in the past without evidence. Last year, he interviewed Donald Trump on the platform, you may recall. That was beset with technical issues. It didn't get started until much later than when it was scheduled to. Elon Musk says that's because they were dealing with a cyber attack, but a number of cybersecurity experts, including people who worked at X, later came out and said, no, it was just some technical issues on the back end for us. So a lot left to be learned in this situation.
What is Ukraine saying? And also, a lot of times you have groups that come out and they want to say, oh, yep, it was us. We got in. Is anyone claiming responsibility today?
Right. So we haven't heard a response from X just yet. However, we have seen a hacking group known as Darkstorm come out and take credit for causing this outage. We don't know a ton about them. However, generally speaking, we see stuff like this happen, hacking groups kind of claiming responsibility for issues at a large platform, if only just to be mentioned, right, to sort of raise their profile in some regard. That is a piece of this as well. It could very well be a cyber attack at the end of the day. We just don't have a ton of evidence to support that beyond Elon Musk's word. We'll have to wait and see if he presents any more evidence on that front. What is clear is that he has a big target on his back at this point. We've seen a huge protest movement at places like Tesla dealerships, another one of his companies. It all goes back to his role at the Department of Government Efficiency, his recent actions at the federal government, trimming back huge swaths of the federal workforce, and that has caused a lot of consternation and would presumably make him a target for something like a cyber attack. But at this point, we're just not confident to report that this actually was that beyond just him saying it was.
How often is X hit with cyber attacks, even if it's on a much smaller level than this?
Often. And that's an important note here, right, is that these are huge platforms and, they are the subject of cyber attacks or cyber sort of efforts towards a cyber attack, whether they actually are effective or not is another thing, all the time, right? And X is not alone in that. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, others all face cyber attacks for one reason or another, whether it be sort of politically motivated, the effort of a foreign adversary, or whether it be just a person with an axe to grind against a platform for one reason or another. This is something that is common. Normally, as I said, this is not a big deal, right? This is not something that we would be talking about because these platforms go down and then they quickly spring back up. It happens. There's websites dedicated to tracking this thing, but it's just kind of the part and parcel of being a public-facing entity on the internet. I think what makes this slightly different is that it happened multiple times over the course of a day, and Elon Musk is at such a crucial place in our culture right now, being the head of not just X, but also a major figure in the federal government and overseeing a number of other companies as well. For what it's worth, Tesla stock down 15% yesterday, not as a result of these X outages necessarily, but as a part of a larger stock sell-off, just as evidence to the fact that all these things seem to be, culminating at the wrong moment for Elon Musk.
Well, kind of a twofold issue here. You've got the widespread stock sell-off. You also have protests and vandalism of Tesla stores. I mean, even when the stocks do rebound, at some point, who knows when that'll be, I wonder just how much Tesla's going to rebound. There seems to be a bit of a revolt.
Yeah, 15% stock sell-off yesterday for Tesla. The larger picture there is that it's down more than 40% since the beginning of the year, and that is when Elon Musk took over his role at the federal government, at the Department of Government Efficiency. You're referencing there what's known as the Tesla Takedown, which is a protest movement of people who are Tesla owners and others who are protesting at Tesla locations across the country, dissatisfied with what they see as an unelected figure wreaking havoc on the federal government and kind of trying to hit him where it hurts, hit him in a publicly visible way. Elon Musk has not responded to any of this yet directly that we know of, but it is clearly something that is having a big impact on at least the sort of public perception of Tesla and the larger sort of Elon Musk thought, right? The Elon Musk sort of figure. But yeah, it is all happening at a pretty crucial moment for Elon Musk and for Tesla, right? Like Tesla is facing some pretty big competition from domestic automakers, European automakers, and increasingly Chinese automakers in the electric vehicle space. There's a larger slowdown in the electric vehicle market, and they're kind of trying to meet that with an aging lineup of vehicles. So it's a tough time to be, in the Tesla game, it seems like, and investors are absolutely feeling that. But, guys, the bigger picture here is that while Tesla stock is down dramatically from the beginning of the year, it is up about 25% from a year ago. That is when we first started to see Elon Musk make moves to cozy up to the incoming president, Donald Trump. So that is a piece of this as well. Investors heartened by the idea that he would have a close relationship with what they see as a pro-business president. Now, that's a little bit of a different story, but it has not been enough to erase the gains that Tesla saw in the last year.
ABC's Mike Dubusky on a Tech Tuesday. We appreciate it, Mike. Thanks, you.
Mike.
Of course, guys.
Mike Dubusky joins us every Tuesday here on Wisconsin's Midday News. That interview and every interview will be podcasted. Gina gets it up on our podcast page. Subscribe to the Wisconsin's Midday News podcast. It's built by Siding Unlimited. Text the word Midday to the WTMJ Talk and Text line, 855-616-1620. We'll get you all the information back to your mobile device. It's the Wisconsin's Midday News podcast, built by Siding Unlimited.
Your European experts at Fox World Travel are ramping up and busy as ever. With the trending spring and summer European travel season, Fox European experts mean you can maximize your time soaking up the warm weather, blooming flowers, and vibrant landscapes without worrying about your travel or missing a moment. Port hop along the Mediterranean with Celebrity or Holland America, or design your own bucket list adventure with Globus. Visit us online or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. Your European immersion awaits.
Oh, it's a great time of year to explore all the great things at the Hounds and Tap. It's in Menominee Falls. There is no other place like it. If you got a dog, take him or her to the Hounds and Tap. You'll see what we've experienced over the years. Friendly staff, knowledgeable staff. They are wonderful people. If you are in the market for grooming, doggy daycare, doggy boarding, you go to the Hounds and Tap. Want to hang out with your dog and catch a beer, watch a game, and explore some great food from a food truck? You can do that as well at the Hounds and Tap. There's no place like it. 12,000 square feet, food trucks, bingo, fundraisers. Every Sunday is a family day, so bring the kids as well. Enjoy all that the Hounds and Tap has to offer. Our dog loves it. Every time we drive by, it sort of stands up in the back of the vehicle and is kind of making noises and whining. He wants to go to the Hounds and Tap. We can tell. Knight absolutely loves it there. I think you're going to dig it as well. Fun, happy, clean. It's a safe environment for all. It's the Hounds and Tap. Visit them online at thehoundsandtap.com.
Tired of staring at the same old garage door? Vince Vitrano here, Lifetime Door Company, wants to give you a new one for free. Your chance to win by texting GARAGE to the WTMJ Talk and Text line, 855-616-1620. All you need to do is take a picture of your garage door or get creative. Tell us a story. Register to win, and you can pick the door of your dreams. Valued at up to $8,000, text GARAGE to the WTMJ Talk and Text line, 855-616-1620. For contest rules, visit our website, WTMJ.com.
After a serious crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. Your future, your family's future, your quality of life. That's why knowledge and results matter in big truck cases. And not all law firms have the know-how or the resources to handle these complicated cases. At Gruberg Law Offices, we have the experience it takes to make sure you're protected. And there's never a fee until we win your case. Gruberg Law Offices. One call, that's all.
And now about your house. It's where you live. But do you also live in your yard? My friends at Outdoor Living Unlimited help people extend their home living beyond the walls. Your imagination may be limited, so let's call on Eric Brown, president of Outdoor Living Unlimited, to expand upon it.
Some of the most exciting projects from Outdoor Living Unlimited involve adding dimension to the backyard. During the design phase, we bring all kinds of ideas to the project. We generally start with the focused effort in the 2D world, the two-dimensional world, with a deck or a paver patio. I call this our blank canvas. Decks and patios, when built right, are wonderful to enjoy when you want to relax and unwind. Designed correctly, these projects lend themselves to adding a third dimension to the backyard that often consists of a version of a pergola. I say version of a pergola because the term pergola has taken on so many meanings and styles recently. We can build a pergola that has cedar slats to break up the sun, which looks beautiful, gives the backyard a defined space, and definitely adds another dimension to the backyard. These are stylish with their natural beauty. If you're looking for more, pergolas have evolved all the way to powder coat aluminum framing with automated louvers in the roof that open for natural light or, with the press of a button, close to deflect rain or create shade. These newer contemporary pergolas also have automated screens that you can open and close with the push of a button. You control your space. If you want screens for privacy, wind deflection, or to deter bugs, you can have them down. Or press a button and the screens roll up and you have a clear view of your surroundings. There are so many other options when it comes to designing your space. Adding a third dimension brings excitement to any backyard.
See all of the cool things that Outdoor Living Unlimited can do for your yard on their Instagram page. Or see it inside Outdoor Living Unlimited's unique outside-in showroom in Waukesha. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
It's 12:30. This is Wisconsin's Midday News. Your top story. Make sure to check that driver license.
I'm Jessica Tighe, renting out your home for the draft.
38 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee at 12:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The U.S. and Canada locked in a tariff back and forth. Canada says it doesn't want it. President Trump today doubling down.
President Trump appears to be ramping up his trade war against Canada, announcing Tuesday morning he'll increase tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%. Those tariffs will go into effect on Wednesday. The president says he's retaliating for the tariffs that Ontario has placed on electricity it sends to Minnesota, Michigan, and New York.
ABC's Karen Travers. Canada's incoming prime minister says he will keep tariffs in place until Americans show respect and commit to free trade. Another government shutdown is possible at the end of this week. Republican leaders in the House presenting a GOP bill today to vote on that would extend funding and avert a shutdown. Democrats say it doesn't protect key programs or federal workers from further DOGE cuts. In Saudi Arabia, U.S. and Ukrainian officials holding talks on a possible ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News time is 12:31. The clock is ticking on getting a real ID. This is the federally compliant license for people who are traveling through United States airports or visiting federal buildings. Federal Security Director for TSA, Wisconsin, Mark Lenve.
That nearly 63% of issued driver's license consist of the real ID, which is identified by the star in the upper left-hand corner of the Wisconsin driver's license.
Enforcement for the real IDs will begin on May 7th.
Federal funding uncertainty leaves questions as Wisconsin lawmakers draft the state budget. But President of the Wisconsin Policy Forum, Jason Stein, is not sounding alarm bells quite yet.
These programs, by and large, are outlined in statute at the federal level. You know, there's certainly some things that are competitive funding, or it's not to say that nothing could be withdrawn, and some things probably will be withdrawn. Most of these big marquee programs like Medicaid, they're in statute.
Governor Tony Evers' proposed budget is $59 billion. $18 billion of that comes from federal funding.
A former correctional officer charged with exploiting a child. 40-year-old Samuel Pieper of Whitewater faces 4 felony charges for child sexual exploitation and trafficking. Officers searched Pieper's home on March 6th after receiving tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children of money being transferred to the children in exchange for videos or images in June or July of 2024. So far, the investigation has not found any known victims locally.
CVS is planning to close another location here in southeastern Wisconsin. This time, it's the pharmacy at 92nd and Greenfield in West Dallas. April 15th is the last day. Prescriptions will be transferred to the location at 75th and Blue Mound in Wauwatosa. The company recently closed location at Villard and Teutonia in Milwaukee. That was back in January. Company officials confirmed to WTMJ there are no additional closures planned for Wisconsin in the immediate future.
Could Airbnb hosts, especially around Lambeau, be the big winners during the upcoming NFL draft? NBC 26's McLeod Hageman reports.
The process has been a little different for this situation.
Do you have the home rented for the draft then?
So no, we do not. So a Lambeau layover is still available.
Okay.
With fewer than 50 days to go until the draft, Jim Sweeney is patiently waiting for someone to rent his house called Lambeau Layover. A Packers-themed home blocks away from Lambeau, and after nearly doubling the usual rate for the draft.
And we feel that's a pretty good point to be at.
Sweeney says he's confident someone will still rent Lambeau Layover.
It's been a challenge, but I think we're at that point where we feel it's a good value.
Green Bay hosts the NFL Draft. It begins April 24th.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 12:34.
He told us to load 4 yards into his 8-foot bed, but we knew that 3 full, honestly measured yards were going to fill his truck bed to the rim. After we proved that, He told us the other guys have been telling him he's been getting 4 yards in there for years. Honest measurements and honest folks who just want to do you right. So you come back. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. We did the math. When you buy bagged mulch from the big guys, you pay $50 a yard. Why pay more for inferior mulch? When you buy from Erickson's, you'll get premium mulch for almost half the cost. And you'll see that even our economy mulch is better for less than half the cost of bag mulch. And either choice is made with premium colorant that lasts longer. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Heartbreak Officer Brian Wickert. While national headlines talk about the inventory of homes for sale being a lot higher this year, that's still not the case in most of Wisconsin. The good news is that now, even in winter, AccuNet's experienced loan consultants are already helping many of our pre-approved home shoppers become homeowners and avoid the heartbreak of losing in a multi-offer situation. Sure, you can go with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, or you can present your offer with an AccuNet rock-solid, fully verified, and guaranteed pre-approval that also might come with the phrase that really makes sellers happy: no appraisal required. When an appraisal is needed, we can also show you in dollars and cents what it means to willingly pay a certain dollar amount over the appraised value if that's what's needed to win, which is usually a lot less scary than people imagine. Reduce your risk of home shopper heartbreak by getting started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. On the eve of the NFL league year and official free agent signing period, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly in conversations with Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, the Packers agree to terms with offensive lineman Aaron Banks and cornerback Nate Hobbs. Bucks in Indiana tonight to face the Pacers. Head coach Doc Rivers looking for a bounce back after back-to-back losses.
Just got to keep building with the new guys to get them acclimated. We got to be consistent in the way we play. Every time we play right, it's hard to beat us. And every time we don't, anyone can beat us.
Coverage of tonight's game begins at 6 o'clock on WTMJ. And Christian Yelich starting to heat up. He's got home runs in back-to-back Cactus League games. Brewers take on the Cubs this afternoon in Arizona. Our next broadcast scheduled for Friday afternoon.
Checking out the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. I do have a bit of an update for you here. This crash that I mentioned during the last update on the exit to Capitol Drive East from I-43 North, the sun has shifted a little bit, so I can tell that there are indeed 3 cars involved in this one, and an emergency responder just pulled up. This is a busy area. You know it if you drive at Capitol Drive East from I-43 North. There's construction barrels out there still. So we have 3 cars involved in a crash. There's not a huge backup at this point, but traffic is definitely moving very slowly around it. And I do expect, if this takes much longer, for a backup to arise.
Well, temperatures on the decrease today will bottom out about 32 degrees. We achieved our high right around midnight, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow up to 53, inland to be a little chillier, closer to the lake. Thursday's high, 58, and we could touch 70 on Friday. Storms expected later in the evening. It's 37 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee at 12:38. Well, a very cool scene played out in Madison during a break in the Badgers basketball game on the weekend over Penn State. Badgers taking on Penn State, regular season finale at the Kohl Center, and Chris McIntosh walks out to half court. And he asks longtime voice of the Wisconsin Badgers for football and basketball, Matt LePay, to join him at half court for an announcement that Matt LePay was not expecting.
Yeah.
After 30-plus years of covering and documenting each and every play for the Wisconsin Badgers in football and in basketball, Matt LePay was honored by Chris McIntosh as a member of the 2025 UW Athletics Hall of Fame class. It was a very cool moment, very cool scene during the regular season finale at the Kohl Center.
He looked surprised.
He absolutely looked surprised, and you could tell because his arms were sort of out to the side, like, what are you doing here, Mac? What are we doing now? And, of course, Matt LePay is just incredibly generous. He's incredibly gifted, and we are fortunate to listen to him anytime we tune into a Badgers broadcast. And Matt joins us on the line right now. Matt, congratulations on the honor. What's going through your mind as you walk out toward half court during that break to meet up with Mac?
Yeah, it was as you said. First, that's good to be on with you too. No idea what was going on. I threw it to a commercial break. We had just hit halftime of the game, and they were saying they need you out on center court. And I'm kind of looking at him like, what are you talking about? And then, as you said, I'm kind of my arms around, what are we doing here? And then as Mac is starting to talk, I'm thinking, wow, this is, they're going to do something really nice here. I wasn't like coming up on any milestone, no round number of games or anything like that. And yeah, I was very, very shocked, very humbled. Clearly, they're looking for a non-athletic, slow-footed, old, overweight guy to add into the Hall of Fame. So I thought, okay, I checked those boxes. So, but very, very surprised and extraordinarily humbled.
Well, no round number for you, but big numbers. 37 years in basketball, 31 years in football. What has it meant to you laying down the Badgers soundtrack for all these decades?
Well, a lot of it has nothing to do with, well, actually, all of it has nothing to do with me. It was just great timing. When I first got here in the late 80s, football was really struggling, and then a couple years later, Barry Alvarez gets hired, and then the football program takes off. The basketball team was really good my first season here, but the Big Ten was great, had a national champion in Michigan, and they had made the NIT, Wisconsin, which was a step in the right direction, and then obviously in later years, becoming a regular in the NCAA tournament. I'm the lucky one to have been in the chair for all of those moments. But the best part of this gig, and I've said this for a long time to anyone who asks, is just developing relationships with people who played in the, like when I started in 1988, but even people before then you get to know. And when they come back, I feel like as much turnover has gone on in Wisconsin and any number of schools. I'm one of those old guard mainstays. They're like, oh, hey, it's great to see you. I remember you in 1990 or 1989. That's the cool part of it for me, is just knowing these people and seeing their lives grow and becoming really successful in whatever endeavor they chose to go into.
So, Matt, you've been a part of the fabric of Wisconsin athletics for over 30 years now. What was it for you prior to your role as a play-by-play announcer for basketball and football? What were you doing before that?
Well, I grew up in Ohio, went to a Big Ten institution located in the central part of Ohio, put it that way. As the running joke goes, I probably wouldn't have been admitted into the University of Wisconsin. So they said, Ohio State, yeah, they'll take you. When we moved up here, and I was doing the basketball all along, football pregame stuff in the halftime and the postgame, but really worked closely with actually Don Morton for a couple of years, and then Barry Alvarez, and just doing a lot of that. Done a little TV work here in town, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it always for me has come back to calling games for the football and basketball programs. Dabble in other things here and there. Had a ridiculously fortunate opportunity for 8 years with the Milwaukee Brewers, but for me it always came back to this. So. But yeah, the road, long story, hopefully really short here, so as not to bore your listeners. Small town radio, doing a lot of high school games back in Ohio, American Legion baseball, and you wait for that break, and it arrived for me. Hard to believe it was 37 years ago, but that's when it happened, when we moved up here to Madison.
I think when it comes to fans, there are certain calls that we remember. I'm a Wisconsin lady, grew up and was raised in Milwaukee, but I went to school out of state. I went to Indiana University, and there's a call I remember was Dickie V during the NCAA tournament. Indiana was playing Duke. Duke was supposed to blow us out, but we won. And I remember Dickie V being like, they did it. They shocked the world. So that's a call that I distinctly remember. But I'm curious for you, as you're making the calls, is there one call after all these years that just sticks out for you?
Boy, that's a good question. The good news in what I've done is I've been able to witness a lot of great moments. And usually if I'm listening back to it, I nitpick myself, say I should have done this better, I should have done that better. But I mean, for me, I guess it was, if I had to choose one, it was a regular season game. It was the day that Ron Dayne had set the NCAA rushing record against Iowa. He did it on a long run. He was a powerful back, but he was also, he could be shifty when he needed to be. And the whole atmosphere of Camp Randall Stadium, it was crazy. It was the middle of November. It was almost 70 degrees. It was an incredible day for late fall in the upper Midwest. And they roll over Iowa, and they're going back to the Rose Bowl, for the second straight year. I mean, that is one, but it's really, I'm dodging you here a little bit because it's hard to pick just one. The Final Four moments and the Rose Bowl championship moments, but that Ron Dane game, 70 some odd thousand people were at Camp Randall, but 700,000 will have claimed to have been there because it was just that magical a moment.
Well, you arrived before Barry did, so you've been through the lean years and the golden era of UW athletics. And if you text the word watch to our talk and text line 855-616-1620, you'll see some of that tribute from the Kohl Center. Gina's got it up and running. Chris McIntosh announcing that Matt LePay will be a part of the 2025 induction class. Matt, you're also presiding over UW athletics in a broadcast sense during a very different time than when you joined, right? The college landscape is so incredibly different. Hard to say if it's for better, for worse, or is it? How do you view where college athletics is today as compared to when you arrived?
Yeah, because it's so different, it's hard to say it's better yet. Maybe in the long run, if/when things settle down and there's actually a set of rules that are enforced with college athletics, it would help. Certainly as an athlete, it's better because, and I'm a firm believer that athletes at the college level should be paid. We pay money to see them. There's rights. Their media outlets make money broadcasting their games and all of that. But it's the lack of regulation, the tampering. Pro sports, there are actually windows of time where there can be player movement and when you can talk to players, and that doesn't seem to exist yet at the college game. But I do think it's going to be fascinating to watch here. It already has been since name, image, and likeness went into play and the transfer portal went into play, with the immediate eligibility being in effect, just happening in the last couple of years. But what is it going to look like in the next 3 years, 5 years? Because historically, college athletics changes very slowly. They picked up the pace considerably in recent years, and you just have the feeling that as different as it is now, in 2 years it's going to be different again, at least with college football, with the playoffs likely expanding and what these leagues are going to look like. It's a much, much different landscape. The good news here that I've noticed, particularly because we're in the midst of the basketball season, the more things have changed, the more they've stayed the same, and that they get quality kids coming through the program. I say kids now, some are 23, 24 now, but they've been at a couple of different schools, but they're really solid people. And as long as that remains the same, I think Badger fans will be happy and hopefully very proud of what they're watching.
Matt, you have been a part of UW athletics for almost 40 years. Of course, you had some time covering the Milwaukee Brewers, doing television broadcasts. And of course, we can't think about the upcoming start of the Brewers season without the loss of Bob Uecker, someone who sat in that chair for over 50 years. What was that time like for you, covering the Brewers, doing TV, but also kind of in and out of the dugout with Bob on a daily basis?
Yeah, for me, it's just the mechanics of it were very challenging for me because I didn't get to spend nearly as much time at spring training as I would like because of postseason basketball, all the right reasons. But the people there were unbelievable, just phenomenal, from B.A., Rock, and the radio guys, Jeff. But getting to know Bob Uecker it's one of my professional thrills. It's one of my thrills, period, and just being able to develop a bit of a relationship with him over the 8 years. And I would tell you, I learned things from him without him actively teaching it, but just his upbeat nature every day. Going to the ballpark. I would be dragging at times. I'm done with basketball season. You've done the football season and filling in for Brian on the television broadcast. And it would be, the seventh game of a 20-game stretch or whatever I was doing. And then I'd see Bob just bouncing all over the clubhouse and by the batting cage just being, but you know what? If Bob Uecker can do this, then what's my problem? Let's ramp it up here a little bit. And the way he worked with his radio team, with the current group now and those before, like Corey, Corey Probus and Jim Powell and Joe Block and those guys. That's not lost. I mean, the thing with Bob, there are people in this business who will be really nice if they can do something for you. Bob Uecker was really nice to everybody because he's Bob Uecker, and he's, forever one of the greatest human beings that we will have ever had the privilege of knowing. Going to miss him, but man, we already miss him, obviously, but very, very lucky to get to know him, and really lucky as Brewers fans that he was the voice in our state, because he could have been anywhere he wanted. He wanted to be here, and we're very lucky for that.
Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame was established in 1991. Matt LePay will be one of the members of the 2025 class. And we hope you have like 8 more basketball games to call this March.
Yes,
and in April.
please.
So can we get you to April, right? At least 8. I think 8 would be a good number, Matt.
I'd be all for that, and hopefully the road will start at Fiserv Forum, but wherever it is, I'm all for as many games as needed for these guys to do something really special.
Well, congrats on a well-deserved honor, Matt. Congratulations.
Congrats.
It's certainly well-deserved. Thanks for being a friend and a mentor to me for all these years as well. I do appreciate that.
It's great talking to you. Always a pleasure, and take care. We'll hope to see you soon.
You bet. Matt LePay joining us here on Wisconsin's Midday News. 1250 on WTMJ.
Hey, boaters! Some call them oddball parts, but we call them a huge part of our inventory. Dave Doro here from Kendor Marine. With thousands of boat parts and supplies stacked right here in our store, you won't have to look elsewhere. If you need it, chances are we got it, along with expert advice to get your job done right. Hey, boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. KendorMarine.com. Hey, boaters! It's a boater's do-it-yourselfer's dream store. Kendor Marine stocks thousands of boat parts and supplies. Just about everything you'd ever need to keep your boat up and running. Whether it's common or something you think might be discontinued, you can bet on us having it. So don't be surprised when we have just what you need. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin. Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. KendorMarine.com.
For 70 years, Geis has been the trusted garage authority in Wisconsin. Greg Matzek here. Don't let a busted garage door get you down. Call Geis. They've got brands like CHI and LiftMaster in stock, ready to go for you. Doors for every budget. They even have custom designs. Whatever meets your exact needs, you'll find it with Geis. Swift and reliable garage repair solutions are available. Visit GeisDoors.com or visit their showroom in Brookfield. It's pretty cool. Right off Barker Road, hundreds of doors and openers, and that custom design room. Don't think twice. Call Geis and visit GeisDoors.com.
Are you sick of not being your bank's top priority? We are too. At Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. We're proud to be your one true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. That's right in your backyard. Whether you're opening your first account, buying a home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have tailored solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank at Wintrust.com. Wintrust, different approach, better results. Banking products provided by Wintrust Financial Corp Banks. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Namaste.
Dan, what are you doing?
Shh, you're harshing my mellow. Join me in some breathing exercises to chase away the chaos.
Let's focus on our clients, since we offer an exceptional way to control the chaos.
Inspired Closets can more than double your closet storage space.
And we don't over-design projects, sending you 3 beautiful designs to fit your price point.
Plus, our true lifetime warranty makes it a no-brainer.
Get started today at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
Inspired Closets,
a wife and husband team.
When Blaine's Farm and Fleet was founded 70 years ago, selling goods at a discount wasn't the norm. The Blaine brothers helped pioneer a new era in retail, and we've helped supply Midwest farms and families with quality products at unbeatable prices ever since. Like assorted Steelworks welding stock, 10% off, and 200-pound AgroMaster protein tubs are on sale, only $64.99. In-store or online, we've got the value you need to do things your way. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Be an original.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
This morning, Milwaukee County launched Phase 2 of its crash dashboard. You might remember around last year, kind of around this time, they had launched just the crash dashboard in general. Well, Phase 2, one of the things that it does is incorporate key hotspots for crashes. And this is neat. If you want to, if you live in Milwaukee County and you want to see where crashes are anywhere in the county, you can go to the county's website and find this dashboard. But I think it's interesting because if you live around anywhere in Milwaukee County, as an example, I wanted to see the road outside of my condo, right? Like what's happening outside of my home. You can go through, you can pick a year. So I picked last year. I saw there were 4 crashes on the block outside of my place. Then you can click on those individual crashes and it will let you know when they happened. So 3 out of the 4 were in the afternoon. 1 was overnight. It'll also let you know whether people were hurt in those crashes. It showed me that on my block, 2 of those crashes were hit and runs. It also shows you whether a stolen vehicle was involved in those crashes. In this case, there were none in mine. 1 did involve a driver who was impaired, though. So there was somebody who was drinking. They specifically said alcohol, so it was a drunk driver. But it's really kind of cool. It reminds me of if you want to be in the know as to what's happening in your neighborhood, and you go look on the sex offender registry list, right, in Wisconsin, and then pick your address and see, okay, do sex offenders live by me? In a way, it reminds me of that because you can see what's happening in your neighborhood. It's very cool, and you can just pick what you want to find out where the bike crashes were. You want to see where hit and runs were, motorcycle crashes. You can go back. I mean, it could be in 2018 or it could be last year. It's very user-friendly. It's a little cumbersome, to be honest, because there's a lot of information on it, but it's neat.
Well, I think it helps the city identify some of the more troublesome areas around the cities, right? There's certain stretches of roads in Milwaukee County, the city of Milwaukee, that are just more dangerous to drive on than others. So what can you do to help curb that issue or those issues? Reckless driving, of course, a big issue as well. But interesting info. How do you find it again?
Go to the county's website and you'll see it right there. Or make it even easier, like people like to Google. Just Google Milwaukee County. They call it the Motor Vehicle Collision Dashboard. I call it the crash dashboard.
Crash dash does
Makes
sound
it
a little
easier,
bit
right?
better, doesn't it? 12:56 news coming up, followed by Spanning the State.
Hey Bucks fans, it's Justin Garcia from the Bucks Radio Network, here to tell you about the launch of the Bucks Central podcast feed. Everything Bucks on